Good morning, everyone. I'm Senator Ellen Corbett, and we're here this morning to talk about the foreclosure crisis and consumer scams and how we can help ordinary consumers stay in their homes. More and more homeowners are finding themselves facing foreclosure, and a cottage industry of scams has popped up around this unfortunate situation. They are targeting people who are extremely vulnerable. They are desperate to stay in their homes, but they're not sure quite how to restructure their loans. And sometimes they've been unable to contact their lender, and they don't know where else to turn. The Senate Judiciary hearing will hold an informational hearing this afternoon to hear from witnesses, and we will examine whether additional legislation is necessary to help consumers. These scammers get money up front for services they never provide, and sometimes they take thousands of dollars and offer a false sense of hope to these consumers. As a result, homeowners are not only out of the money that they can ill afford to lose, they also are they end up short on time to work out solutions with their lenders. It's critical that consumers work with legitimate government agencies and their lenders to find a workable solution. I was proud to author just a few weeks back SB X27, the California Foreclosure Prevention Act. This act will add an additional 90 days to the foreclosure process unless the entity that serviced that loan already has a comprehensive loan modification program. Stabilizing the housing market is critical to the state's economic recovery, and I will continue to work diligently to make sure we do everything possible to keep Californians in their homes. With me this morning are some experts on this crisis and this issue. We have speakers from district attorneys' offices in the state of California, consumer groups, and tenant rights groups. I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves and tell stories about individuals who sadly have been ripped off during this terrible crisis. One of the stories we will hear about Myra Aravel. She was supposed to be with us this morning to speak about her situation in person. She's a single mom with 3 children who finds herself without a home after relying on an entity, gave them $2,000 to work with them to redo the financing of her loan. She spoke to them. They never followed up. She called and called, never heard from them again. She found herself out $2,000 and out of her home. That's a terrible practice that should not be happening to anyone. And the individuals here to speak today are going to talk about how we can assist consumers and protect them and keep them in their homes. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us. I'm Tom Papa George. I'm the head deputy district attorney in charge of the Consumer Protection Division in the Los Angeles DA's office. And I would like to join my colleague David Lim and others in thanking the chair of the Senate Judiciary Committee, Ellen Corbett, whose efforts both today and in prior legislation have shown her once again to be a real champion of consumer interests. Thank you very much. Sadly, the mortgage foreclosure fraud problem in Southern California, where LADA prosecutes these kinds of crimes, has reached tidal wave proportions. There are lots of variations on the theme. The reassessment, appraisal, and solicitation scams that David Lim has just told you about are certainly one. But we're focusing today on mortgage foreclosure relief fraud. This is a scam that proves once again that you can steal more with a pen or a computer than you can with a gun. In this case, this scam involves searching public records for notices of default or other indications that homeowners in our Los Angeles County area are struggling or about to lose their home. And then the tragic scenario of victimization twice occurs. A family that's already faced economic ruin, loss of job, perhaps loss of their home, now faces the prospect of being victimized a second time. For a good and tragic example of this, case recently prosecuted by the LADA's office successfully against Irving Cohen. Mr. Cohen made a career of this victimization a second time by securing lists of those in default or about to be in default on their loans. He sent first mail solicitations and then followed up with very persuasive sounding phone calls implying he was an attorney or an expert in the field, insisting, however, that consumers not contact their banks, not contact HUD or legitimate consumer organizations who could help, but rather work solely through him, and insisting that a deed of trust be filed so that he could secure his payment of $500 to $1,000 per month per household. By the time his scam was full-fledged, between 125 and 150 families in Los Angeles County were diverting between $500 and $1,000 a month to this scammer, who, instead of doing anything material to help these folks keep their homes, instead filed bankruptcy claims with the federal bankruptcy court without telling the homeowners, ruining their credit indefinitely and ultimately causing the loss of most of the homes involved in the scam. Mr. Cohen can't be here today to defend his practices because he's presently a guest of the state of California after his conviction. The reality of mortgage foreclosure fraud, however, will not end with any one or few cases. Part of our effort today is to encourage the California public to stand up and complain effectively when these fraud artists are at your door. The solicitations come through the mail, by phone, even door-to-door solicitations. If you've been approached and asked to give money up front with vague promises that sound too good to be true, don't just close the door. Pick up the phone. Complain effectively to local police agencies and to the district attorney's offices like the Alameda DA and LADA, and let us bring justice to this aspect of the marketplace where, frankly, consumers already face enough problems. We have several other organizations and groups that are working positively to help consumers avoid this scam, and we'll turn to them now. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, my name is Mava Elise Brown. I'm Executive Director of Housing and Economic Rights Advocates. We're a nonprofit law office located in Oakland, California, and we're the only statewide office in California that's dedicated to trying to help homeowners who may have been victims of predatory mortgage lending scams, and of other related scams such as foreclosure rescue problems. We also thank Senator Corbett for bringing more attention to this issue. When one of the district attorneys who just spoke said there was a tidal wave of problems happening out there, I'm trying to think of something bigger than tidal wave, tsunami. It's of a titanic proportions. It's of such proportions that all of our legal services agencies together, all of the DA's offices together, all of the housing counseling agencies together have not been able to stop the influx of solicitations by entities that are going to that offer false promises of hope to homeowners, to desperate homeowners, and do not follow through on those promises. The reality is nobody can guarantee that they're going to be able to get your loan modified, but promises, firm promises, are what people are being offered, and of course they're desperate, and they try to use those services, and we sometimes come in to do cleanup afterward. So we'll contact the loan servicer, and that is how we'll find out that they were never contacted before by any other entity, or they may have received one initial phone call but no other sort of follow-up service. In the meantime, they've charged anywhere from $1,500 to $9,500. $9,500 is the highest dollar amount that we have yet to see demanded, and for what? For nothing. And some of the folks who are out there, some of the agencies that are out there offering these false promises of hope are licensed mortgage brokers, licensed salespeople, licensed attorneys. As an attorney, I'm particularly offended when I see my fellow brethren demanding money, I shouldn't say demand, offering promises of assistance and requesting money for services that they don't actually really provide. Some of these entities are working with nonprofits, and they're using the nonprofits to give themselves the appearance of being legitimate, safe, community-oriented practitioners. So, a specific example, our office was working with a family that went to a credit counseling service, the nonprofit credit counseling service. This credit counseling service, credit repair service, charged them for that bit of their work. They offered to do a loan modification. They connected our clients, who are Latino, monolingual, Spanish-speaking family, to some attorneys in Orange County. And the attorneys in Orange County promised to go ahead and work on getting the loan modification. They made one phone call to the loan servicer, as far as we can determine, and that was it. they didn't actually follow through and perform any other services to try to modify the loan and save the home that way. Instead, what they did at the last minute is told the family, oh, you need to file a bankruptcy. And so they went ahead, got the family's signature on at least one document, filed the bankruptcy, and even screwed up the bankruptcy. The bankruptcy was ultimately dismissed. And the good news is that the Department of Justice, in the meantime, apparently had been researching these attorneys, has filed charges against them unrelated to our particular client's case, and is pursuing claims against them. But this is a time when you cannot trust folks. You cannot trust folks just because they're attorneys, just because they're mortgage brokers, just because they're otherwise licensed real estate professionals. You have a lot of very hungry, desperate, avaricious people who are out there promising to save you, and they won't do it because they can't. A lot of things are out of their control and out of our control. So we invite the public to call us. We invite the public to call HUD, Certified Housing Counseling Agencies, who do loan modification work for free. They are fairly plentiful, though they are not in every county. And encourage people to be as careful as they can be. But again, I think the senators bringing attention to this issue is extremely important, because what we know from what's happening is that our current laws are insufficient to stop the problem, to dissuade the bad guys and the bad gals from doing what they're doing. So with that, let me wrap up. Thank you for your time.